Okay, so in order for my CD pipeline to be successful, I need to be able to deliver reliably and consistently. And one of the ways I can do that is to use a repository manager, Nexus repository manager, to host all my bits, open source bits I bring in from other repositories like Maven Central and things that I develop internally. Here I have a DCOS with a few services running on it. I'm using GitLab for my SCM, Jenkins for CI/CD, and then Nexus as my repo manager. In this case, I'd like to show an example of how we can deliver quickly when a change request or feature request comes in using these tools. So I have a Hello Spring WebMVC app running here. It's very simple, hello world, good greeting. And that's actually deployed to DCOS with a Docker container. And the Docker container is being hosted in my Nexus repository, a private registry that I have all my company's Docker containers, in this case just Hello Spring Web MVC. That's being deployed to DCOS, and I have heard that a team at my organization has come out with a brand new library that is going to make my Hello World app much, much more awesome. So the Awesomizer team here, it released it, and let's go over to Nexus and browse the components in my Maven releases to see this brand new component. So we can see there's Goodies Awesomizer here, and I can jump in here to get the GAV. So it's under com.sonatype.goodies, it's Goodies Awesomizer, and then we got a long version string, the version, the date, and the commit hash for December. So what I'd like to do is I have my Hello Spring app here, and what I'm going to do is add this new dependency, and see if I can do this off the cuff. So my development environment is pointed to the Nexus repository that we're looking at. That's currently hosted in DCOS. So I'm actually have full access to anything that gets pushed up there. So anything my company is working on, I can grab to develop against. So here we go. It was able to resolve this brand new dependency. I'm going to come to my greetings controller here, and you can see that I add the name. What I'd like to do here is change the name, and we're going to make this string awesome now. So there we go. We'd like to update our tests as well, because good tests make the world go round. So spoiler alert, we get a exclamation mark from the Awesomizer library. Let's just run it through a test to make sure we're good. And then we're going to want to deploy this. When we deploy it, we are going to push it to our SCM, and then Jenkins is going to grab the latest changes and deploy them both to Nexus and then to our Docker container in Nexus. So we look good. Let's add it. And now it is up in SCM. All right, so next step here is kick off a build. And builds aren't the most interesting, so I'll talk a bit while we're doing the build. So right now, the utility of the Nexus Repository Manager is being able to host our internal bits, deliver them to our CI/CD pipeline, and then also host all our private bits. So if you have a geographically distributed organization and you need to have your components near to your developers, this is one of the use cases. Also, if the internet goes down, if there's an outage, you're still able to develop and actually build and perhaps deploy during the outage. Another thing we see a lot is that builds occur on ephemeral build agents, and you don't want to go out to Central or the NPM registry or wherever you're bringing down your open source bits every single time that your ephemeral build agent spins up. Nexus repository will keep all the libraries close to your build agent so it can grab them quickly. So right now we're deploying the new Hello Spring app to Nexus. Worked pretty well. We can jump over here and verify. And if I go into my Maven releases, I have a brand new Hello Spring Web MVC jar. The utility of keeping both the jar and the Docker image is perhaps I'm always keeping Docker at the latest version. So if it's evergreen, maybe I'm losing changes that I had previously, and keeping the jar has a history of all those changes. You may also have different deployment mechanisms, and you'd like to keep the jar, the application layer, extracted from your Java, or sorry, from your Docker container. So as the Docker container builds, I'll jump in and kind of show you. Oh, it's already done. But really quickly, if you look at the Docker file here, we're actually also pulling the jar from Maven. So if your Docker is being built, your Docker container is being built on a different build agent, and it doesn't have access to the bits that you currently that you built through Jenkins, you can now bring it down from your definitive source of the jar, which is Nexus. All right, so we deployed this. What I'm going to do is just restart my Hello Spring Web MVC service. So I brought it down. I want to scale it back up. I have a policy to pull the latest image whenever it scales up. So it should go out to Nexus and grab the latest image that we just deployed. Here we go. It is now spinning up. I can show you here that we indeed are pulling the image back from our Nexus repository manager. It's latest here, and as I talked before, on my Nexus, I only keep one copy of this image. So this is kind of an evergreen version of Hello Spring Web MVC, where my source of all the history is in the jar files back here. So we should be up now and running. Let's come over here and let's actually check it out. Oops. Greeting. And here we go. The hello world is much more awesome now with our exclamation mark at the end. So that's how you can do continuous deployment with Nexus Repository Manager and DCOS.